They laughed at the nurse, who limped through the hallway, called her slow, broken, a liability. Then a Navy SEAL captain walked in, froze mid-step, and saluted her like a fallen hero. The room went silent, because that nurse wasn't weak. She was the reason men survived war. The laughter was quiet but sharp, the kind that doesn't echo, yet still cuts deep. St. Jude Memorial Hospital was already buzzing that morning. Trauma alerts, stretchers rolling, coffee cups shaking in tired hands. Nurse Emily Carter moved down the corridor at her usual pace, measured, controlled. Her left leg dragged just enough to be noticed, not enough to ask about. Her scrubs were faded, her hospital badge slightly cracked at the corner. She passed the nurse's station. Two younger nurses leaned close. "Why is she still in trauma?" one muttered. "With that limp, she slows everything down," the other replied. "I heard she messed up a code last month." They smirked. Emily heard every word. She always did. But she didn't stop. Didn't argue. Didn't explain the metal plate in her leg, or the scar that ran deeper than skin. She just kept walking. Because some pasts aren't meant for conversation. Inside Trauma Room 3, alarms screamed. A young Marine lay unconscious on the table, blood pressure dropping, chest rising unevenly, shrapnel wounds, internal bleeding, heart rate unstable. Doctors shouted orders. Residents scrambled. Chaos filled the room. Emily stepped in without announcement. She checked the monitor once. Then the Marine's hands. Her eyes narrowed. "Prep a rapid transfusion," she said. An intern hesitated. "We're all ready." Now Emily repeated, calm, absolute. Something in her voice cut through the noise. They obeyed. 30 seconds later, the monitor flatlined. A single, endless tone. Panic exploded. Clear. Shock. Nothing. Another shock. Still nothing. Voices overlapped, protocols, time estimates, desperation. Emily stepped forward. "No more shocks," she said. The room froze. The attending doctor turned sharply. "Excuse me." "He's not gone," Emily replied. "He's fighting something deeper." Before anyone could argue, the doors slammed open. Heavy footsteps, controlled, confident. A man in civilian clothes entered, but the room felt the authority before anyone recognized it. Captain Jack Reynolds, United States Navy SEALs. He'd been waiting for news about his man. The moment his eyes landed on Emily, he stopped, completely, straightened, and raised his hand in a slow, deliberate salute. The room went dead silent. Jack's voice was steady. "Ma'am," he said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "It's an honor to see you alive." Emily looked up. Their eyes met. Years passed between them in a second. She gave a small nod. Only then did Jack lower his hand. "Do what she says," he ordered the room. "Not a request." The doctor swallowed. "Nurse Carter." Emily leaned over the patient. "Push atropine," she said. "Prepare for internal packing." The drug went in. 5 seconds. 10. The flatlines stuttered. Once. Twice. Then a weak but stubborn heartbeat returned. The room exhaled. Someone whispered, "Unbelievable." Emily didn't react. She adjusted the IV, checked oxygen, then stepped back. The doctor stared at her. "You just saved his life." Emily nodded once. He wasn't finished yet. Outside, the hallway had filled with whispers. A SEAL captain saluting a limping nurse didn't stay secret for long. The same nurses from earlier stood frozen, guilt written across their faces. Jack stepped into Emily's path as she tried to leave. "Emily," he said. "Not Nurse Carter." Her shoulders stiffened. "Captain," she replied. The familiarity unsettled everyone watching. "You shouldn't be here," Jack said quietly. "Not like this." "Neither should you," she replied, "yet here we are." An administrator rushed over, flustered. "Captain Reynolds, thank you for your patience." Jack didn't look away from Emily. "You tell everyone," he said. "That nurse, Emily Carter, has authority over that Marine." Murmurs spread. Emily clenched her jaw. "Jack, don't. She outranks every opinion here," he continued. "Because if she says he lives, he lives." The administrator nodded and disappeared. Emily turned away, her limp more pronounced now. Jack's eyes followed the brace beneath her scrubs. He remembered when she didn't need it. When she ran point. When she carried wounded men under fire. When the explosion came from the wrong direction. "Emily," he said. She stopped but didn't turn. "They think you're just a nurse," Jack said. "They don't know what you gave up." Her voice dropped. "They also don't know what I lost." Another code alarm blared. The hospital swallowed her again. Jack stood alone as whispers filled the corridor. Because one thing was clear now. That nurse wasn't ordinary. And whatever happened to her, it was no longer buried. That night, a sealed military file was unlocked. Stamped in red. Classified mission. Operative Carter E. Status undisclosed. And after years of silence, someone was finally asking why. They thought the limp came from age. Or maybe an accident. They were wrong. Emily Carter didn't lose her leg in a hospital. She lost it in a war zone. On a mission the government pretends never happened. The hospital parking lot was quiet when Emily finally stepped outside. Night air. Cold. Job. She leaned against her car, letting the stiffness in her leg settle before she drove. The city lights reflected off the windshield, blurring into something distant. She didn't see Jack Reynolds at first. He stood near the curb, hands in his pockets, waiting like he always had, patient, unmovable. "You followed me," she said without turning. He smiled faintly. "You still notice everything." She opened the car door slowly. "You shouldn't be here, Jack." "You saved my man today," he replied. "I wasn't going to walk away." "That did it." Emily shut the door and faced him. "You think I wanted this life?" she asked. "This limp, this hospital, being invisible." Jack didn't answer. Because he knew the truth. The truth lived years back, half a world away. The desert air burned your lungs if you breathed too fast. Emily Carter didn't. She moved low and fast, rifle slung tight, medkit bouncing against her side. Night vision painted the world green, but her focus was razor sharp. She wasn't a nurse then. She was Lieutenant Emily Carter, combat medic attached to SEAL Team 7. "Contact left," someone whispered. Gunfire erupted. Emily dropped beside a wounded operator before the body even hit the dirt. "Stay with me," she ordered, hands already working. Blood, shrapnel, chaos. She didn't hesitate. She never did. Jack Reynolds covered her flank as she worked, trusting her more than any piece of gear he carried. "Carter, we gotta move," he warned. 30 seconds, she snapped, "or you'll carry him out in a bag." She stopped the bleeding. They moved. The mission was supposed to be clean. In. Extract. Out. It was. Intel was wrong. The building they hit wasn't empty. It was a trap. The blast came from underneath. Emily felt the ground disappear. Felt herself thrown hard. Then pain. White hot. Blinding. She tried to stand. Her leg didn't answer. Jack dragged her behind cover as bullets ripped through the air. "Stay with me," he shouted. She looked down. Bone, blood, fire. "I can still work," she said through clenched teeth. She did. Even then. She treated 3 men before the evac bird arrived. Refused morphine. Refused to pass out. Because people were still alive. "They gave me medals," Emily said quietly. "Then they gave me papers to sign." Jack's jaw tightened. "Medical discharge." "They called it honorable," she scoffed. They called it necessary. She leaned against the car again. I begged them to let me stay, desk duty, training, anything. Jack knew the answer. They said I was a liability. Silence settled between them. That limp, Emily continued. It's not from the explosion. Jack frowned. She looked up at him. It's from what I did after. His eyes widened slightly. What do you mean? Emily swallowed. There was one man, she said. One decision. Her voice cracked, not from weakness but memory. I chose wrong. The words hung heavy. Somewhere inside the hospital, a Marine breathed because of her. Somewhere in her past, someone didn't. Jack stepped closer. Emily. I don't want forgiveness, she said. I just want the truth to stay buried. Jack shook his head slowly. It won't, he said. Because that file they opened tonight. She stiffened. It's not routine, he continued. Someone's digging. Emily closed her eyes. Because she knew what that meant. The mission wasn't forgotten. And neither was her mistake. That same night, a call went out from the Pentagon. 2 words only. Find Carter. And for the first time since the explosion, Emily Carter wasn't just a nurse anymore. She was a problem. They thought her past was over. That the war had let her go. They were wrong. Because when the Pentagon calls your name, it's not to thank you. It's to collect what you owe. Emily felt it before she saw it. The pressure. Hospitals had a rhythm, codes, footsteps, alarms, but that morning something was off. Conversations died when she passed. Doors closed too quietly. Someone was watching. She clocked in, adjusted her badge, and headed toward trauma when a man stepped into her path. Dark suit. Military posture. No badge on the lanyard, only a pin on his lapel. Emily Carter, he said. Not nurse. Not lieutenant. Just her name. Yes, she replied evenly. We need to talk. She looked past him to the charge nurse. The woman avoided her eyes. No, the man added. Emily nodded once and followed him into a small conference room. Another man waited inside, older, calm, eyes that measured instead of judged. Special Investigator Mark Hale, the older one said. This is Agent Collins. Emily didn't sit. Hale noticed, still standing on bad legs, he remarked. She met his gaze, still standing. Collins slid a folder across the table. No markings on the front. Emily didn't touch it. We reopened a file last night, Hale said. A mission in northern Afghanistan, 5 years ago. Her jaw tightened. You were listed as medically discharged, Collins continued. But also operationally unavailable. Emily finally spoke. Those aren't the same thing. Hale leaned back. No, they aren't. He opened the folder. Photos. Satellite images. Casualty reports. Then one page stopped in front of her. A name. Sergeant Lucas Merritt, KIA. Emily's breath caught. Hale watched carefully. You remember him? I treated him, she said. You chose not to evac him, Collins replied. Emily's eyes snapped up. I chose to save 3 others, she said coldly. Silence. Hale closed the folder. Sergeant Merritt's family has been asking questions, he said. And now so are we. Emily crossed her arms, weight shifting painfully on her leg. You're 5 years late, she said. And you don't want the answers. Hale smiled thinly. We don't have that luxury anymore. Outside the room, Boots approached. Jack Reynolds' voice cut through the hall. She's off limits. The door opened. Jack stood there, controlled, furious. Captain Reynolds, Hale greeted. This doesn't concern you. Jack stepped inside anyway. She saved my men, Jack said. She followed protocol, under fire. Collins raised an eyebrow. Protocol says you don't leave a man behind. Emily spoke before Jack could. Protocol doesn't apply when the clock runs out, she said. I had 30 seconds and 4 casualties. Hale studied her. And you chose. Yes. Jack turned to her. Emily. I made the call, she said firmly. Not you. The room held its breath. Hale stood. We are placing you on administrative leave, he said. Effective immediately. Jack bristled. You can't just. We can, Hale interrupted. And we are. He slid another paper across the table. Until further notice, he added. You are not to leave the state. Emily didn't react. She picked up the paper. Signed it. No hesitation. Jack stared at her. You're just going to let them do this? Emily looked at him, eyes steady. I've been running for 5 years, she said. I'm tired. That evening, Emily returned to her apartment. Small, quiet, orderly. She locked the door. Then reached under the bed. Pulled out a sealed envelope. Inside, a dog tag. A folded letter stained with old blood. And a flash drive. She stared at the name on the tag. Lucas Merritt. I'm sorry, she whispered. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered. Lieutenant Carter, a voice said. You have something that doesn't belong to you. Her blood went cold. I don't know what you're talking about. The voice chuckled softly. You will, it said. And when you do, you'll understand why that mission was never meant to end. The call disconnected. Emily sat down slowly. Because she finally understood. This wasn't about justice. It was about cover-ups. And someone was afraid of what she remembered. Across the city, a black SUV idled in the dark. Inside, a man studied Emily's file. He smiled. Activate phase 2, he said. And somewhere in the system, Emily Carter's protection was quietly removed. The hospital thought Emily was just a nurse. The Pentagon thought her past was gone. They were wrong. Because when someone holds the truth that could topple governments, they don't just question you. They hunt you. Emily didn't sleep that night. She couldn't. The flash drive burned in her pocket like a live wire. A mission that never existed had its data on it, names, operations, evidence of cover-ups that would ruin careers and maybe lives. Her apartment felt small, vulnerable, every shadow moved with intent. Jack Reynolds was already outside, waiting. He didn't knock, he just stood in the dark, watching. You shouldn't be here, Emily said softly, gripping the doorframe. You've been hunted for 5 years, Jack replied, and now it's starting again. I can't let it touch you. She raised an eyebrow. And what? You defy the Pentagon? He didn't answer immediately. He just handed her a duffel bag. Pack light, he said. We leave in 10. Emily shook her head. I'm a nurse, Jack, not a fugitive. Jack's voice was calm but firm. You were a medic on the front lines. You've survived worse than being called a fugitive. Pack. Hospital turning against her. By morning, whispers followed her down the hall. Doctors who once nodded politely now avoided her gaze. Interns whispered about her administrative leave, as if she had committed a crime. Emily's limping footsteps echoed in empty corridors. Every glance felt like an accusation. Did you hear? Someone muttered near the nurse's station. They're putting her under surveillance. Security cameras everywhere. HR is compiling a report. Emily's jaw tightened. She had faced gunfire, explosions, death. This was child's play, but somehow more insidious. Jack takes a risk. Jack Reynolds wasn't a hospital employee, nor did he care about HR policies. He only cared about the woman who had saved his men. He moved strategically. Every time someone tried to approach Emily with a question, he intercepted. Every time an administrator tried to escort her, he politely and firmly blocked the path. One nurse whispered, "Who is that guy?" Another muttered, "He's going to get fired." Jack didn't flinch. "Not my concern," he said under his breath. Emily noticed the tension in him, the risk he was taking simply to stand by her. For the first time in years, she felt safe. The flash drive secret. They found a quiet corner in the staff lounge. Emily pulled the flash drive from her pocket. Jack leaned closer. What's on it? Emily hesitated. Everything the Pentagon wants buried. Operations, names, locations, files proving mistakes. People died because of these mistakes. Jack's eyes darkened. If anyone finds this, they'll kill us both, Emily whispered. Her hands trembled, not from fear, but from the weight of what she held. The truth was bigger than any code, bigger than any mission. And now it was being hunted. First attack. Emily didn't hear it coming. A black SUV parked outside the hospital. Two men in suits stepped out, radios clipped to their belts. They didn't ask questions, they observed. Emily noticed them first. Her instincts from Afghanistan kicked in. Jack, she hissed, they're here. He nodded calm, then we move. No one in the hospital seemed to notice. Except Emily. And Jack. They left through the service exit. Chased through the city. Neon lights streaked past as Emily and Jack moved fast. Every shadow felt like a gun barrel. Every pedestrian could be a threat. Emily limped, but she was fast. Experience overrode injury. Jack drove an unmarked SUV with tinted windows. Emily's eyes stayed on the rearview mirror. They're professionals, she said, Pentagon level. Jack didn't answer. He only focused on getting her somewhere safe. Because he knew, tonight, survival wasn't guaranteed. Somewhere in the city, the SUV stopped. The men inside picked up phones. Phase 2 activated, one said. Back in the SUV, Emily clutched the flash drive. This isn't over, she said. Jack looked at her. No, not even close. They thought a hospital hallway could contain her. They thought the Pentagon's files were safe. They were wrong. Because Emily Carter wasn't just a nurse. She was a trained killer, a medic, a survivor. And anyone who came for her would pay the price. The SUV bumped down back alleys, tires squealing lightly as Jack Reynolds pushed it faster. Emily leaned against the door, clutching the flash drive. Her leg ached with every sharp turn, but her mind was razor-sharp. They know it's real, she said. They've tracked the network, every safe house, every ally. Jack's jaw tightened. Then we improvise. They reached a dead-end street. Emily glanced around. We are cornered. Jack smirked. Not yet. Emily takes control. Before anyone realized, Emily slipped out of the vehicle. Her limp slowed her, barely, but she moved like a predator. Two men in black suits rounded the corner, radios clipped, guns holstered. Emily's instincts screamed. Stay behind me, she said to Jack. He didn't argue, he never did. The first man stepped forward, confident. Lieutenant Carter, hand over the drive, you don't want this. Emily's hands were already moving. Her training took over. Disarming moves, pressure points, minimal force, fast, efficient. The first man hit the ground, groaning. The second raised a baton. Emily ducked low, swept his legs. He crashed to the asphalt. Jack stepped in, gun drawn, covering their escape. Emily grabbed the flash drive from her pocket. We keep moving, she hissed. Flash drive reveal. They ducked into an abandoned warehouse. Inside, Emily finally plugged the flash drive into a laptop. Files scrolled across the screen, top secret operations, names of operatives lost during missions, black sites, classified deaths. They lied about everything, Emily whispered. Jack leaned over her shoulder. This is why they want you silenced. Emily nodded grimly. They don't want the truth exposed, but I'm not hiding it anymore. A single folder caught her eye, Operation Nightfall. She clicked. Images flashed on the screen, aerial maps, coordinates, and a list of soldiers who were left behind. Her stomach tightened. This, she said, voice low, this is why Lucas died, and why they'll never forgive me. Jack placed a hand on her shoulder. You did everything you could. You saved more than anyone knows. Emily shook her head. Not enough, she whispered. Enemy closes in. Outside, the SUV's engine roared. 2 more men emerged from the shadows. They weren't part of the first team. Larger, armed, professional. Jack and Emily exchanged a look. "Time to finish this," Jack said. Emily smiled faintly. "I've been waiting." She limped toward the first man, moving strategically, forcing him off balance. Every punch, block, and move calculated to exploit weakness. The second man charged. Emily pivoted, using the wall to propel herself forward. Her legs screamed, but she ignored it. She knocked the man off his feet. Jack covered her, moving with precision, trained, lethal, synchronized. Within 30 seconds, the attackers lay incapacitated. Emily grabbed the flash drive and stepped back. Jack whispered, "You okay?" She nodded, "Just getting started." "Escape." They sprinted to the SUV. Jack drove without looking back. Emily clutched the flash drive like her life depended on it, because it did. Every corner, every shadow, every stranger on the street could be another agent, another threat. But Emily felt alive in a way she hadn't for years. Because the truth was in her hands. Because now, no one would underestimate the limping nurse again. The flash drive's data wasn't just proof. It was leverage. And someone at the Pentagon was about to realize that Emily Carter, the limping, underestimated nurse, was the last person they wanted to cross. A notification pinged on the laptop. "File accessed, trace initiated." Jack looked at her. "They know." Emily's eyes narrowed. "Then it's time we show them what happens when you push someone too far." They thought Emily Carter was just a nurse. They thought she was broken. They thought she would stay silent. They were wrong. Because when the truth is in her hands, and a SEAL captain is by her side, no one, and I mean no one, can stop her. The warehouse was silent, except for the hum of the laptop. Jack Reynolds leaned back, eyes scanning the exits. "Trace is active," he said. "They'll be here in minutes." Emily's fingers flew across the keyboard. Encryptions, bypasses, hidden transfers. The Pentagon thought they had control. They didn't. "Once this goes public," Emily whispered, "they won't be able to bury anything." Jack nodded. "We need a distraction, something to cover our exit and get this data safe." Emily smiled faintly. "I've got a few ideas." Planning the move. Jack and Emily quickly drew a mental map of the city, plotting their route to the safe drop point. Jack pulled out a secure phone. "I've got contacts, ex-operators. They can hold the perimeter for 5 minutes. That's all we get." Emily nodded. 5 minutes is enough. Her mind flashed to her SEAL training, flash drills, urban evasion, combat medics moving through hostile territory. Every step, every decision had consequences, but she was ready. Jack looked at her. "You've changed since the hospital. I underestimated you." Emily smirked. "And you thought a limp could hold me back?" He shook his head. "Never, but today we do more than survive. We fight back." The first strike. Outside, lights flickered, shadows moved. Emily pressed a finger to her lips. Jack nodded. 2 black SUVs and a van appeared at the warehouse perimeter, trained operatives. They were professionals. This wasn't a random hit. Emily grabbed a metal pipe, not for violence, precision. She moved like water, quick steps, low center of gravity. The first operative tried to push through the door. Emily twisted his wrist, used his momentum, and sent him crashing into a stack of crates. Jack covered the back exit, gun drawn. 2 more men approached. Emily pivoted, using the wall to catapult herself, hitting one of the attackers with enough force to incapacitate. Jack moved like a shadow, efficient, calculated. Within seconds, the immediate threat was neutralized. Flash drive's power. Emily returned to the laptop. Files were uploaded. Encrypted evidence was now mirrored across multiple secure channels. "This isn't just proof," she whispered. "It's a warning." Jack frowned. "They'll retaliate fast." Emily nodded. "They have no idea what's coming." The screen showed names, locations, operations, all of the Pentagon's attempts to hide mistakes. If this went public, careers would be ruined, and someone high up would have to answer. Escape plan. Emily zipped the flash drive into a hidden pocket. Jack tossed her a tactical bag containing weapons and tools. Follow me, he said. They moved through back alleys, unseen cameras, avoiding checkpoints. Every footstep was calculated, every corner assessed. Emily felt alive. For the first time in years, she wasn't just surviving. She was in control. They reached a rooftop. Jack motioned to the skyline. From here, we disappear. Emily looked down at the city lights. They'll think we vanished into thin air, she said. Jack smirked. They'll be looking for the limping nurse, but they won't find her. She adjusted her brace. You're lucky, she said. I don't run often. Jack grinned. Lucky for them, you fight faster than anyone alive. Tension builds. Behind them, the distant sounds of vehicles and helicopters approached. Emily glanced at the flash drive again. She knew this wasn't over. They'll be back, she said calmly. Jack put a hand on her shoulder. And we'll be ready. Her lips curved into a determined smile. They underestimated me once. They'll regret it twice. The Pentagon had just realized someone had accessed the files. Red alerts, scrambled communications, emergency meetings. Emily Carter wasn't hiding anymore. She wasn't a nurse. She was the storm. And the storm was coming. They thought Emily Carter was broken. They thought she would stay silent. They thought the Pentagon controlled everything. They were wrong. Because tonight, the limping nurse would make the powerful kneel. And the truth would hit like a bomb. Emily and Jack slipped into a nondescript safe house on the outskirts of the city. The flash drive had done its work, files mirrored across secure, anonymous channels. Evidence of cover-ups, abandoned soldiers, and illegal operations now existed outside Pentagon control. Emily stared at the screen. This is bigger than I imagined, she whispered. Jack put a hand on her shoulder. They're going to respond, soon and hard. Suddenly, a secure line on Jack's phone lit up. He answered. Captain Reynolds, a familiar voice said. Emily froze. It was Admiral Grant, her former commanding officer, the one everyone thought had her back. I know what you did, Grant said calmly. And I know what you're about to do. You've exposed more than you realize, Lieutenant Carter. Emily's eyes narrowed. I'm done hiding mistakes that cost lives, and I'm done being underestimated. There was a pause, then Grant's voice softened. You're being used. The people you think are enemies aren't the real threat. Emily's mind raced. Explain. Grant sighed. There's someone higher, someone within the Pentagon. They orchestrated the mission that cost Lucas Merritt, and they're still pulling strings, making sure the files never surface. Jack frowned. You're saying this was a setup? Exactly, Grant said. And now you have leverage, but be careful. They'll stop at nothing. Emily's chest tightened. She thought of the Marine she had saved. She thought of Lucas. She thought of every life affected by that mission. She clenched her fists. Then it's time they feel the consequences. Public exposure. Using the mirrored files, Emily activated a secure public release. News networks, watchdog agencies, and independent journalists received encrypted packets simultaneously. Within minutes, headlines exploded. Pentagon cover-ups revealed, soldiers left behind, missions classified. Top-level officials under scrutiny after SEAL mission exposed. Emily watched as the truth went viral. No spin, no censorship, no hiding. Jack leaned close. You did it, the world knows. Emily allowed herself a small, satisfied smile. This is for Lucas, for everyone they left behind. Confrontation. 2 days later, Emily and Jack were escorted into a secure Pentagon conference room. Every high-ranking official she had ever trusted or doubted was there. The room fell silent as she walked in. Even the Secretary of Defense froze. Emily held the flash drive in her hand. Not as a weapon, but as proof. You, she said, pointing to the man who had orchestrated the cover-up. Your lies have cost lives. Your orders have killed people you claim to protect. Gasps echoed. Cameras captured every expression. Jack stood by her side. "She's not just a nurse," he said. "She's a SEAL, and she saved more men than you'll ever know." The man stammered, "Lieutenant Carter, you can't." Emily cut him off. "I already did, the truth is out, and your control, gone." For the first time, the limping nurse was unafraid. For the first time, the people who mocked her, doubted her, and underestimated her were powerless. Emotional payoff. Outside the room, media coverage exploded. Emily walked with Jack down the steps of the Pentagon. "This is bigger than me," she said. Jack shook his head. "No, this is bigger than them. You just reminded the world what real courage looks like." Emily glanced at him. "I didn't do it alone." Jack smirked. "And don't think this means you're off my watch." She laughed softly, the sound full of relief, strength, and triumph. The limp didn't define her. The past didn't define her. Her actions did. Somewhere, Lucas' memory finally felt honored. Somewhere, every soldier who had been left behind finally had their story told. Emily and Jack had won the public battle. But the fight wasn't over. Someone high above had noticed the exposure. And someone high above was about to come for revenge. Emily looked at the horizon, wind in her hair, brace on her leg. "I'm ready," she said, "for whatever comes next." Jack nodded. "Then let them come." Because now, the limping nurse wasn't just alive. She was unstoppable. They thought she was just a limping nurse. They thought she'd stay silent. They thought they could hide the truth forever. They were wrong. Because tonight, Emily Carter would finish the fight, and the world would finally see her strength. The sun rose over the city, pale light cutting through the smoky dawn. Emily Carter stood at the edge of a rooftop, the wind tugging at her scrubs and the brace on her leg. Jack Reynolds was behind her, steady, silent, watching. "This is it," she said, fingers gripping the flash drive. "Time to close this chapter." Jack nodded. "You're not just exposing them, you're taking control." She inhaled sharply. This wasn't just about vindication. It was about justice, closure, and finally proving to everyone, herself included, that the limp didn't define her. The final confrontation. Inside a secure Pentagon command room, the officials who orchestrated the cover-ups were panicked. News outlets were live, showing Emily and Jack walking confidently down the steps. The man responsible for Lucas Merritt's death tried to speak. "Lieutenant Carter, this isn't, you can't." Emily stepped forward, her voice calm but unshakable. "Your orders killed men who trusted you, your silence endangered lives, and now the truth is public. There is no undoing this." Gasps filled the room. Cameras flashed. Whispers echoed like thunder. Jack stepped beside her. "She's not just a nurse," he said. "She's the reason men like Lucas had a chance to survive, and now the world knows." Emily held up the flash drive. "Everything you tried to hide is gone. Your lies, your mistakes, your negligence exposed." The officials slumped, defeated. No words, no defense, just the cold weight of accountability. The emotional payoff. Later, on the rooftop again, Emily leaned against the railing. Jack stood beside her, not touching, just present. "You did it," he said quietly. "Not a single person could have done this better." Emily let out a soft laugh. "I didn't do it for recognition, I did it for them." Jack's eyes softened. "And now the world finally sees what I always knew, you're unstoppable." Her limp slowed her, but it didn't define her. Her courage, her mind, her determination, those did. Emily's thoughts drifted to Lucas, to every soldier left behind, to every life she'd saved. They were the reason she stood here, victorious but not arrogant. Jack's respect. Jack reached for her hand, hesitated, then let it hover near hers. "Emily, you didn't just save lives, you reminded people what real strength looks like." Emily looked at him. "Thank you," she whispered, "but I couldn't have done this alone." Jack smiled. "I never doubted you, not once, even when everyone else did." A silent nod passed between them. No words were needed. Mutual respect, trust, and shared battles said it all. Public victory. News anchors spoke her name with reverence. Emily Carter, the nurse who exposed the Pentagon cover-up. From limping nurse to national hero. Social media erupted, hashtags trended, citizens, veterans, families, everyone celebrated her courage. Even those who mocked her before, even those who doubted her, were left in awe. Emily watched it all unfold, quiet, composed, triumphant. She didn't need their approval. She already had the only thing that mattered: justice served. Final moment. As evening fell, Emily and Jack stood on the same rooftop. The city below sparkled with lights. Jack finally spoke. "So what now?" Emily looked at him. "Now," she said, a faint smile crossing her face, "I rest, but I stay ready, because the world will always need people who refuse to stay silent." Jack nodded. "And I'll be right here when it happens." She turned, walking toward the edge, steady, proud. Her limp didn't slow her. Her past didn't define her. Her courage did. The limping nurse had become a legend. Emily Carter wasn't just a nurse anymore. She wasn't weak. She wasn't invisible. She was unstoppable, brave, and undeniable. And the SEAL captain who saluted her, he didn't just respect her courage. He recognized her heroism. The world finally knew the truth. And it had all started with a limping nurse who refused to quit.